From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Wakers, pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Venus Nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. Could reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan, now there's crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, he's a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tent that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined where was next. Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is, and you are Under the Groove. Welcome, everybody. It's Under the Groove podcast. Here I am, and there you are. Happy Tuesday, to say the least. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully, or may everyone's day, into your satisfaction. Put that work in. If it ain't mathing, do the math over, man. Get it right. But nonetheless, I'm fortunate to be here, and I would say the same for each and every one of you that's tapping in. This is a day, like any other, for reflection. I got something on my mind I want to share with you guys. In due time, that's going to happen, no doubt about that. All right, B6, I see you up in here, front and center, man. This is how we do. Greetings and salutations to you, Bub, and the RGC. B1, everybody, black first. I've been going through this thing, my feed, and I've been running across a lot of heat. In other words, a lot of good content. You know what I mean? I mean, great content, fantastic, even just fabulous, man, fabulous stuff. I got some. I think that this is the new photographic icon of the resistance, of resilience. You know what I mean? What I got lined up, what I want to drop, and I'm going to drop in a hot second. This sister, looking at it, the photograph, you can only imagine what she's thinking, what she's going through. I tried to, I couldn't, sitting here, I can make a whole lot of, create a whole lot of emotions and, sentiments I was going through if I was in that position she was in. I'm going to hit y'all with this in a hot second. But I'm telling you, man, this sister was bold, man. I don't even think that's even the rightful term for it, but one thing is for sure, if she was scared, if she was in fear, she did not show it. She did not show it, man. Her name is Bernetta Bolding. All right, Bernetta Bolding. Now, some of you may have heard the name. If not, I'm pretty sure, I like to think that you've seen the picture or the photograph of this sister in this predicament or circumstance she found herself in, not of her own making, but there she is in this get down, man. I'm going to put it up, and I may just leave it up for the time being. Want everybody to see that, man, this sister. All right, Hoover Snipe, I see you, homie. Awa, I see you. Man, a quiet moment in resistance. What do you think about that photograph, though, loved one? This is Rosa Parks 2.0 right here. You know what I mean? If you just look at that picture, man. Oh my man, Rosa Parks couldn't have gave no explanation, no thought on it, as to this photograph. This is a cold photograph, man. This is a cold photograph, man. It almost looks staged. It's so organic. It looks like it's staged, man. Whoa. I'm gonna pick this photograph apart, man, for a long time. Look at that sister, man. I don't see fear. That's for damn sure. I see resistance, I see the revolution in her eyes, man. God damn, that's a cold flick, man. That is a cold flick. Cold flick, man. A quiet moment of resistance. Like I say, I don't see no fear in her face, man. Damn. That's deep. That's deep. So anyway, I saw that photo, man, and I said to myself, this is the photo for the ages. This is the new Rosa Parks moment. You know what I mean? This is the new icon look of resistance, man. That's it. That's it. And if you look at her, everything about her, she from where we from, man. I ain't doubting that one bit. As far as I got was her name, in terms of what she does as for a living, she works, kids, her age. I ain't got none of that. Couldn't even get it. It seems as though the media was blocking it out. They didn't want to interview her, but they did go and interview this Filipino dude who was sitting across from her a little ways up. He didn't even see her. There was so many of these what they call Patriot Front members on this metro, but they interviewed him this morning. They ain't even trying to interview her. Like I said, the farthest I got was just her name. No story on her, nothing. Nothing. And I'm telling you, that's some hard shit right there, man. That is a hard ass photo. Man. Shit. All right, Queen. Real spit, man. All right, Queen and Zinga say, don't just hope for a better future, build it. Have a blessed, productive, and unstoppable Tuesday. Kings and queens, be one. All right. Lonzo, what it do, man? What's up with it, Lonzo? Said peace, bub, to you and yours. Right back to you. Peace and prosperity to you and your fam as well, bro. What you think about that photograph? What you think about that, Lonzo? I'm telling you, this is the new icon photo. The new photo of resistance. This replaces Rosa Parks. I'm telling you, this is Rosa Parks 2.0, man. Bernita Bolding. She should be famous, man, just on that photo alone. And then, like I say, the media outlets are not trying to interview her. Have no interest in it. In that, I can imagine why. Again, that's the look of resistance, man. That's the look of resistance, man. And again, no fear. Gotta love it. She don't have any fear on her face. That fucking picture, man. Wow. All right. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it. That picture deserves a whole paragraph. I mean, what can you not say about it? That's in, the right light. I'm gonna leave that up for a little bit, man. But yeah, so just based on that photograph that I got hold of this morning, I just went on one, man. I went and just, started looking up Black resilience, just checking it out, man, seeing what it had to offer. And man, a whole lot. Black resilience has a whole lot to offer, I mean, a lot. It go further back than these stories that tell us about slavery and shit, Some powerful shit, man. Phenomenal shit, impactful shit, that Black resilience. Lonzo said, man, they know we waking up, so they pulling all the strings. Hey, real spit. I can tell you, I got hold of some shit today. And they know. All of them know, man. Every one of them know. And again, sometimes it's like they know better than us. But I don't know. I'm starting to view this situation differently, man. I'm starting to look at it not as though we're blind to the fact. You know what I mean? I'm starting to consider that maybe it's just the loads and loads of shit, we've been through or we're going through that has us on a slow burn. We're not, actually up and out there on it like they would expect us to be. You know what I'm saying? But I think nonetheless, man, Black people are gearing up. They're getting ready, and it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be spectacular. We're going to shock the world, no doubt about that. And like I say, in a lot of respects, the world is expecting something. They don't know what it is we're going to bring to them, but they know it's something. Just the fact that we're willing to sit out on a whole lot of shit now tells them, oh shit, something up with them, Ain't no doubt about that, man. Ain't no doubt about that. It's something going on, y'all, and we're going to get to it. I mean, on a metro train full of crackers by her lonesome. Yeah. Oh man, Black Power. By herself. I don't know if they thought to intimidate that sister. I don't know if that worked. Like I say, just looking at her, it don't look like she's in no kind of fear. And she looking at the cameraman like, well, what y'all gonna do? Gotta love it, man. Rosa Parks 2.0, everybody. Real spit. 2.0, man. I'm gonna leave that photo up for a hot second, man. And I'm gonna take it down a hot second. All right, Raymond Scott, what it do, loved one? He said, peace to you, bub. Add to the RGC B1. Yes, I see you up in here, bro. Appreciate your presence. All right, Lisa Moore. Hello, sister. She said, Grand Rising, brother Bub. Blessing to the kings and queens in RGC B1. Black first. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Raymond Scott said, man, we need to become more resistant in other ways too, but quietly. I think it's so much power in silence. And I think that's what's getting them. I was just saying, Roscoe, that they don't know what to think or what to do because we haven't responded in terms or in ways that they're used to, or what they expect from us, they haven't gotten. So they're like, okay, what the fuck is going on? What's up with these Black people, So yeah, I get that. And again, the caption says a whole lot. A quiet moment of resistance. You just mentioned that. Yeah, we can go about our business. We're going to do our thing, but we ain't got to be loud about it. It's going to get done. I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Do what we got to do. We ain't got to announce nothing. We just got to, hey, when it's time to go, we going to know. We ain't got to say nothing. Man, that is a powerful photo, man. I can't get over it. I looked at this photo this morning and I said, hell, man, it's on. It's on. See, moments like this, I hope that the platform was even bigger so that that photo can get out there, man. Just so they can get out there. And I'm not sure in terms of how many. I went all through social media this morning, And most of the podcasts I mess with didn't have that photo. And I'm like, damn, that would be so powerful. The message would be powerful, man. Real spit, man. Lisa Moore say, peace and love, brother Lonzo. Okay. Lonzo said, man, we reorganizing ourselves, our households, and our communities. Tell the truth, man. All right, James, what it do, loved one? James said, Big Bub one. Right back to you, James. Good to see the CPT up in this thing, man. I'm asking everybody what they think about this photograph of this sister, solo bolo, but no fear. No fear. I'm telling you, I'm trying to discern whether or not that's fear. That ain't fear, man. But again, the sister's name is Bernita Bolding, like a bowl in ding. Bolding. Man, this photo's supposed to went viral. You know, it's supposed to have went viral, man. That's just my take on it. I think so, at least. You know, that's one of them photos, man. Them, you know, that's once in a generation type of photo, once in a few generations. You know, the last one, even, well, after Rosa Parks, we had a whole lot of iconic photographs of our queens. You know, Asada, Angela, you know, and a few others, you know what I mean? But this is one of them, man. This is one of them. Beautiful picture, man. Anyway. Yeah. So like I said, that had me on some shit. I saw that and I said, all right, man, let me dive in here a little bit. Let me go get something for the people, man. Some, you know, to put in perspective. I don't even want to take the picture down, to tell you the truth. I really don't even want to take it down. Man. But I will. For the time being, I will. Cold flick, man. Okay. Dang, how did that happen? Okay, I thought about this one today. I think I want 3 minutes long, man. I'm gonna run that though. Let me run this right quick. She's saying some solid shit.
Playbook was Black people fighting in the streets all summer. They wanted a summer of violence. They wanted all those video clips of Black people being violent. And the entire Black community collectively in one voice heard their ancestors say, rest, stay home. Don't go out in the streets. They collectively heard it and they've all listened. And it was right. They have been dealing with a apartheid fascist state for generations, even worse than an apartheid state. Like in the slavery era, that was like they have been in an abusive, narcissistic relationship with the government for generations, since the first person unwillingly stepped foot on this land. They have studied their abusers, because that's what you have to do. When you are a victim to an abuser, you have to study their every movement as a form of self-protection. And they have done that. They didn't have to learn it as they go when he took power in November. They already knew. What do you do when your abuser all of a sudden you hear him walking on the hallway and his footsteps are a little bit off, his breathing's a little bit off? You hide. You go and you hide in your closet. You go out the window and run. You get somewhere safe. They have gone somewhere safe. They're not resting. Is not passive. That is not passive protest. That is active protest. And it is working more than anything else that has been being done. It is more effective than I can think of anything else that is being done right now. Resting to me means staying home, saving your money, not spending your money at corporate stores, not, buying local, shopping at local stores, going to local restaurants, supporting local businesses, building community, saving your dollars. We brought down Target, and that was 100% led by Black people. by the Black community, 100%. We make Disney come to their knees with just money in a weekend. Like, that is where it hits them where they hurt. We do not need people in the streets being violent. If you feel the call to be out there marching, go march. Do what you feel called to do. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about they wanted summer of 2020 visuals, and they didn't get it. Summer's over. They never got those visuals. I guarantee they have some strategy book and they're like, summer of violence, martial law. We can bring troops in everywhere. Every time they bring troops in somewhere that is shown to be peaceful, people wake up. Every time somebody wakes up. It's collected. It's a snowball. So people that are resting are literally doing the most right now. So thank you for everyone that engaged with that post and are commenting on it. Those comments are literally like, I'm glad I've introduced some people to the term gray rocking. I'm glad I've put words to what people have been feeling, and that people in the Black community are validating that, like, finally a white lady gets it. Because that means literally makes me emotional. Nothing makes me more emotional than getting validation from especially a Black woman. If you come in my comments and say, you get it, I get emotional every time. So thank you for that. Because you all know, nobody knows the most besides, like, the smartest, most aware people in the world are Black women. And you will never change my mind on that. Because they have to be. And they are. So thank you for validating my last post, because that's how I've been feeling about it ever since I first saw people saying we're sitting this one out. That has meant a lot. Like, that moved me a lot.
All right. Somebody in her comments said, we're not hiding from anyone. We're simply allowing people to experience the consequences of their own actions. They're getting exactly what they voted for or didn't vote at all for. We're not required to care or to be used as human shields for anybody anymore. Another said, baby, we've been line dancing and learning how to farm. We'll be back in 2026 for midterms and 2028 for the election. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't think they really get it, though. I don't think they really get it. What's this? Okay. All right, this is another good one. Yeah, I'm on some shit today, man. But what she said, that YT person just said, I think a lot of them feel this way. Those are their sentiments, you know. They recognize that, hey, man, something up with the Black folk, you know. And they ain't far off the mark. They are not far off the mark. Now, check this out.
By Carmelo's father, I felt that until provoked. By any means necessary. I think about Brother Malcolm. Like, we are a very peaceful people, Black people, and they try to paint this narrative, and they got upset that Carmelo didn't fit inside of that box as right. This thug, quote unquote, or as this troubled child. No, he comes from a 2-parent household, academic honor student, athlete, worked a job, active in the community. The judge even said that's why the bond was reduced to the $250,000, because he's active in the community. He's a citizen. You can't say that he's this illegal immigrant. There's so many angles that they usually try to go to that you can't do. And that is the power of Black people, that we aren't this stereotype, that we aren't this conundrum that people think, no, Black people, we are good. We are great at what we do. We're so great at what we do. This is why they set so many parameters to stop us from being great.
That's right.
That's the overall importance of that. But that's what makes white people so uncomfortable, is that Black people defending themselves is the biggest thing that disengages white supremacy, because then it proves that they aren't as superior as what they thought and as what they've been told. They don't realize that they are the biggest dummies out of this. You've been getting played. You've been told that you're greater genetically, which I don't know how, because biologically speaking, that's not even true. You think that you are greater because of all these other things, but everything that you've gotten because the rules were set in a certain way that benefits you the most. I'm not saying that as an excuse for Black people, no, because we have so many successful Black people. I see it every single day, especially here in the beautiful city of Atlanta. But overall, as a community, as a people, we have gone through so much, and there's been so many setups for y'all for white supremacy and the dominant white society that they're able to be in that position. It's not off of pure merit, like what they like to use. It's not because it's fair and it's an equal playing field. Because if it was, and every single time it was, we can go back to Auburn Avenue, we can go back to Tulsa, we can go back to Greenwood, we can go back to Wilmington, we can go back to Harlem. We could just keep going and going and going and going and going. We've had our own things. Lake Lanier, Oscarville, we had that. The moment our things become successful, you want to tear it down because it challenges your idea of white supremacy. You've been told that Black people are only this, but then when you see this exemplary Black person walking down that's making more money than you, that's more well-spoken than you, that's more respected than you, it challenges your idea of, I was told that I was superior. I was told that. And seeing, oh man, me walking around with that logic can actually get me killed as a white man makes me very uncomfortable because we're supposed to be feeling cocky and on top of the world. But a situation like a young brother, Carmelo, allegedly informed them, hey, don't touch me. Keep your hands off of me. You were warned. Is that not stand your ground? Oh, but that only applies to white people. That only applies to white people in Texas or in Florida or in Georgia, but not us. Seeing a Black man with a gun makes white people uncomfortable.
That's right.
Because now I have the same thing that you have. And in the words of Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, I'm paraphrasing here, the gun represents their penis and their dominance because they know hand-to-hand combat, they do not stand a chance. And if you really take it a step further, white supremacy within itself didn't become globally dominant until they had the guns, until they had the cannons, the navies, and all these other things. But ancient times and even until throughout the Moors, like anytime it was more so me and you, hand-to-hand combat or just traditional combat, it didn't always work out in their favor. So I say all of this to say that the idea of protecting yourself as a Black person creates white insecurity. Seeing that line stay.
That's right. All right. Real spit, man. Real spit. Now, where did I leave off at? Okay. Yeah, man. So there that is, that shift is happening as we speak. Right now, that shift is occurring and we're moving. We're shifting right along with it. And that's scaring them. They're in fear of that, They're in fear of that. Now, this is the craziest thing to me. The Patriot Front, which is the name of that white supremacist group that was on that metro in DC and Maryland on the 4th of July, they could not have known that, in my opinion, that photograph did them more harm than, the photographs of them, all together marching or whatever. That one photograph with that sister, it tells a bigger story, I think. You know what I mean? It has more weight to it. You know what I mean? It just does, and they couldn't have been the wiser. They could not have known better than to say, hey, that photographer worked for Getty Images or whatever. They couldn't have known to say to him, hey, don't take any pictures with anybody in the midst of us. You know what I mean? No pictures of civilians or Black people, Mexicans, Asians, whatever. They couldn't have known to say that, because they couldn't have known the power of that photograph. And like I said, I think that photograph is very powerful. The last thing they could have wanted. I know right now they having discussions like, damn it, damn it, Yeah, man, this thing is up and running. The shift has occurred, and we got to be in that position where we're going to move with the shift, man. We can't, and there are subtle ways of doing it, no doubt. Like Roscoe said, quiet ways. We can be quiet about our get down. And for the most part, I think we are. Black people are not trying to overexert themselves or just be out there. We're not trying to be conspicuous, and that's a good look. And I think it should remain so until such a time we know we're ready for whatever. for whatever. I know we said now, man, shit, come with me, let's get down, that's how we get down, right? But like for real, ready with resources, water, food, shit like that, that's being prepared. That's being ready, because these people, man, you got to know they not feeling none of this, man. I can imagine Trump in the White House looking at that photograph, like, going ape shit, chimping out, you know what I mean? I see that, Man, Lonzo say, man, I feel the spirit of change, a unstoppable force moving across the earth. The shift is happening, brother. Who knows better than us? Nobody. We got the vibe and the frequency. We know what's happening. What it do, Chris? Say, Bub, what would you have done in that situation and one of them bumped you? And that's great. I don't know why I knew you was going to say some shit, ask me a question like that. But in all actuality, the day I thought about that, I couldn't listen, man. I'm being 100. I couldn't even imagine myself in that. I just couldn't, and you can play with yourself. Your mind's like, okay, boom. In reality, I just couldn't even think it. Man, I could see it, but I couldn't really, like, damn. It wasn't meant for me to be in that situation, you know what I mean? And probably, thankfully so, probably, because I don't, hypothetically speaking, man, yeah, I bumped him, he bumped me, or one, no telling. There's no telling, man, how that shit would have turned out. I know I wouldn't have been, no coward in the situation, but motherfucker, hey, man, just on some respect shit. Got to say, excuse me, man. I don't care who you with, I mean, because I would, even in the face of that, and the bump was incidental, accidental, even in the face of, okay, this is all Patriot Front motherfuckers. I bumped the motherfucker and it would, hey, pure, accidental, wasn't it? Hey, excuse me, just like that. Hey, excuse me, and I would expect the same. I just would. I would expect the exact same. And I know that could have probably been the spark. Bump me. I'm the only black dude on the train, fuck it, I'm gonna bump this ninja, and I wasn't gonna be like, hey man, say excuse me, man. That's how I was raised, you know what I mean? But I swear, man, I could not put myself in that seat at that at that present time, in that moment, in that space. And I said, I can't even fathom what she was thinking. But I looked at her, and the longer I looked at her, I said, I don't see fear though. I seen a resolve. I didn't see fear. I didn't see fright, but I saw a look that, reminds me of resolve. Like, hey, here I am. You know what I mean? I'm, on the metro, in motion. That look was, hey, come what may. Before it happened, before I get to my stop, oh well. She wasn't like, or just, cowering and nothing. I admire her, homie. I have to say that. I'll say that much. I admire her a great deal, bro. A great deal. She deserves admiration, man. Respect. I do not see fear. Beautiful picture, man. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, just be honest with you, bro. Had he bumped me, had I bumped him, it's a matter of respect with me, bro. Period, point blank, that's just how I was brought up, man. From my mom and my family all the way through prison to today, this very day. I could know it's some shit. I'm not gonna be no fucked up mug, man. If I know this shit ain't intentional. And, you know, the absence of an apology would mean fuss and funk. You know, that's the only way to describe it. But yeah, you know, it would be about respect first and foremost. I don't care who you with, you know, what you got on. That don't mean nothing. You know, it's just you dressed up. You know, remind me of a situation. Okay, initially it's gonna be me. I'm gonna try to, you know, shit. Talk about what I'm gonna try to do. You know, crazy shit. Dana Garrison said, "Oh, pseudoscience. Oh, pseudoscience." Appreciate you up in here, Dana. Good to see you back. She said, "Oh, pseudoscience, y'all." Lonzo say, man, we face that possibility every day. You ain't lying. And you know, now I could give you instances. Of course, the circumstance is different in terms of the photo we see there. You know, that whole car, that whole metro is filled with them, right? But I've been at work and had that what you mentioned, what if, you know, that bump thing, you know. And hey, man, and I work with nothing but them, Mahindras, right? Nothing but them. I can give a damn. Like, hey, man, about respect. I don't care what you think, you know. And then, you know, I give it. So I'm gonna demand that. You don't have, you know, that's the thing, man, with a lot of us, I think. It's just something we do because it's part of our character. You know, we know it what makes us who we are. You know what I mean? So that's not something someone would have to demand from me. And I feel as I shouldn't have to ever demand my respect, you know. And if that be the case, you know, then that's a whole nother conversation, you know what I mean? But I've had that instance at work where it was that, and you know, yeah. And they break a mug arm. Like, hey, man, I don't want to play it. Hey, respect, you know. But yeah, shit. Lonzo say we face that possibility every day as Black men and women. Frank Nitty said facts, no doubt about that. Dana say, man, many do have cognitive dissonance. Yeah, many do. Cognitive dissonance, all right? Lonzo said, David and Goliath, the little guy defeats the big guy, standing in truth. Yeah, so Dana, I was saying that is Rosa Parks 2.0. You know what I mean? That picture is iconic. I'm telling you guys, man. And let's say the only reason it does not go viral or become an iconic photograph is because the fix is going to be in and they're going to deny it by any means necessary. They're going to make sure that it does not become an iconic photograph, because I'm going to tell you something. They're looking at that photograph and they're saying, this is defiance. This is resistance. This is resilience. We can't let this photograph get out because it would inspire. That's the politics of it. I'm so fucking sure of that, man. If I'm not sure of anything else, that much I'm sure of. They're going to do whatever they can to make sure that does not become like a rallying cry. You know what I mean? Something that's inspiring and inspirational enough to, you know, because when other sisters see it and brothers, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, oh yeah, that flame gets a little brighter, you know, it's a little hotter in there. You know what I mean? They're not trying to see that happen. So I was shocked when I went and I searched, at least I think thoroughly. The only one had it was Newsweek. I went on CNN. I went, man, look. I think Fox flashed it for maybe 2 seconds, maybe 3. But it is not in mainstream media like that. You know what I mean? And there's a reason for that. That's all I'm saying. There's a reason for that. That's last, man, that's Rosa Parks 2.0. That's gonna spark the fucking flame, man. They got to keep that shit out of circulation. That's how I see that. But that is the new icon, or it is very iconic. That photograph right there, it speaks volumes. All you gotta do, that motherfucker should be in a museum, man. That's like that, what's that painter's name? White guy. He used to do the Campbell soup cans. His name is on the tip of my tongue, but he did the painting of the little black girl when she was the first little black girl to integrate Southern schools. Norman Rockwell, I think that's his name. All right, it's a Rockwell painting, and they look at that picture, YT people, and they say, "Oh, what a great picture!" In fact, it is part of somebody's library, Smithsonian. It could be the it could be the Metropolitan in New York. I don't know. It could even be in the Guggenheim. I don't know, but I know that picture been in museums for decades. That's one of those pictures. In fact, that picture is even stronger, in my opinion, than that, you know, and stronger, in my opinion, than Rosa Parks' photograph. And I say that because of its potential. Its potential, man, is powerful. That's Black power, man, right there. And they not trying to let that photograph get out. Trust me on that, man. Trust me on that. Yet, so Dana, I want to ask you, could you picture yourself in that moment? Lisa Moore, Queen Nzinga, you know, any of the other sisters in this Get Down, could you see yourself in that moment? Can you even fathom that? That's difficult, man. I don't know. James said, man, I get tired of these lame woods telling us what we already been known or been know. What else do you have to blabber on about, lady? Fuck out of here. Who the fuck are these people, bub? Yeah, this is how they're responding, though, James, right? You go on social media now, and they're coming out of the woodwork more than other ethnicities or demographics. They're coming out talking about, hey, man, God came to me in my dream last night and said, beware the black people because they're my people, blah, 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 you know. And they're all saying, hey, you know what? You know, something about black people. We've been missing it, but, you know, it might be a little too late for us to figure it out, but we better get right with them type of shit, you know. But she's just one of many. I did some content this morning where I actually used in my content 3 different YT people. The content was about, they were expressing how they see us now, you know. So for whatever reason, that shift might have occurred for them too, in terms of opening their eyes a little wider, you know what I mean? Allowing them to see truth now, you know. No other way for me to put that. But that's how they're speaking. They're speaking like that, like, hey, black people are the truth, you know. Black people are God's chosen, you know, shit like that. So yeah, I use them from time to time in my content to make a point. And like I did with her. See, she's speaking on some shit. Yeah, we know this shit. No doubt, James. We know this shit, but they don't know it. You know, and one thing about them that we might as well get used to, they're going to come out of the woodwork as though they are an authority on black resilience, on black resistance, black revolution, black power. I'm telling you, that's just what's going to happen. And I think it's done for most of them. Most of them, they do it to not just make themselves feel better, but I think to find some calm, because I think they're all kind of nervous. I think so. They're all very uncomfortable. And they're trying to find some comfort in acknowledging what we already know, you know? That's what I think, bro. Yeah. Dana Garrison said, I can't imagine it either. 100. That's the truth. I don't imagine you telling the truth. You got to be telling the truth. Daily inspiration, motivation. Shout out from Texas, everyone. One love. All right. Hey, daily inspiration. Good to see you up in here. Shout out to the Lone Star State, our brothers and sisters out that way, man, in Texas. All right. May everything be everything with you brothers and sisters down there. And that you guys are on cold, like, you know, the rest of us. You know what I mean? We were talking yesterday about being on cold and pivoting from not just them people, but all of them. You know what I mean? And I think this is also part of the shift that's taking place. One thing the white lady said just now that we also speak about all the time is how to hurt them. And she's one of them saying it, but you know, we know this. You hurt them through their pockets. That's how you get them, you know? And so I'm saying that to say to our people, be y'all in Texas, Atlanta, New York, LA, wherever, California, wherever. That's how we get them. Economically. You know, we don't spend our dollars with them. We find our people and spend our money with our people. Even if it's only, let's say, 50% of us doing that, that would still hurt them dramatically, drastically. So that pivot needs to take place. That pivot is a part of this shift. So we're shifting positions that would, you know, encompass or include others. Hey, that's the way this shit should go. But appreciate you up in here, Daily Inspiration. Shouts out to the people, man. The people in Texas. You say, man, I ain't on my old pages. I ain't on my old pages. The Murray Bubba Johnson 111. I was hacked. So this is my new one. This is my new one, y'all. All right, good to see you back, bro. Because it's been a minute. Murray Bubba back. All right, good to see you, bro. Dana agrees. You're right. It should be viral. And I'm telling you guys, that is too impactful. That picture by itself is too impactful. That's not something that the administration, the Trump administration, you know, news organizations, you know, because we know who run them. That's not something they're going to feed to the people. They don't want the people to see nothing like that. Now, had that been, imagine that picture being the reverse, something purely negative that a black person was doing on a bus full of white people, right? Welding or brandishing a gun, maybe. You know, that shit would be in the news 24/7. 24/7. When the brother stabbed the white T person on the subway a few months back, man, they kept that shit in the news for at least a month. At least a month. You know? You know, it's only when we, you know, we got to do wrong for them to notice us. You know what I mean? Anything of that magnitude, that impactful, that powerful will be kept from the people. That's just how they get on, straight up. And I'm telling you, I guarantee, and I'm pretty sure y'all can attest to this, just if you know what you know in your core, if they put that thing on the news like that, ain't no telling what's going to take place tomorrow. You know what I mean? I think it's that powerful. So, yeah. All right, Tantra, what it do, loved one? All right, good to see you up in here. Dana say, I'm going to do a little research and share it. Appreciate that. In fact, everybody, share that photo. Like and share, of course, you know, Under the Groove Podcast. But share the episode, share the podcast so people can see that photograph. You know, that needs to get out there. You know what I mean? It should be out there. You know? Oh, yeah, you got, okay. Dana said, I found the image. I Googled white supremacist march by black woman on train. You can find it there. Okay, you Googled it. Great. Daily Inspiration say they do it for the fame, Big Bub. Yeah. Dana say you just have to click on images under search bar. All right, down to what it do, loved one. Say, what up, brother Bub? Man, everything is everything. How you do, bro? Peace and prosperity to you and the fam, man. Sam's Evans back, y'all. We in here, Big Bub. Good to see you in here, man. Here I am, and there you are. That's a good look, man. That is a beautiful look. I'm going to do this one more time because I'm telling you, I'm feeling it like that. Oh, my God. Ooh. I don't know, man. I'm looking at it like this, too, man. It had to be her at that moment. And this is why I say it's powerful. And this is why I say also they're not going to show it. Because there was something that worked there. You know, and you guys know I'm not religious, you know, I'm more spiritual than anything. But there's an energy at work there, man. You know, see, I could say some shit, and I don't want people getting it and twisting it. That there, she was shielded. You know what I'm saying? The ancestors had her back, man. But it was meant for her to be there at that exact time in that precise moment, man. That was meant to be. And this is why I say they are purposely and intentionally not plastering this all over the news, man. That's where it's supposed to be, because I think they understand its power. So, yeah, man, shit. All right, yeah, hey, Sam Evans, good to see you back, bro. Good to see you back. Crazy work, y'all. Okay, I had something I want to drop right quick. And I love you. And I love you too. Damn, where'd it go? Baby, will you call me the moment you get there? I had it. I don't know where it went. Damn. Hate when that happens. All right. I lost my way, y'all. Wait a minute. Is this it? Hold on. Get that in there. All right, here we go.
Black Americans survived the worst chapters in this country and still didn't become a people of hate. There's something people forget about Black Americans. Something bigger than pain, bigger than history, bigger than the scars this country carved into their ancestors. And it's this: hate has never been their culture. From the very beginning, Black people in America were forced into a nightmare. Chains, auction blocks, families torn apart, laws written to erase them, violence used to control them. And yet, through all of that, they did not become a people of hate. Their ancestors survived the unthinkable, but they didn't pass down bitterness. They passed down music, faith, community, resilience, joy, and a love so powerful it kept generations alive. They taught them how to rise, not how to hate. And yes, let's tell the truth. White Americans today still benefit from systems built long ago. From wealth passed down through land Black families were denied. From neighborhoods Black people were locked out of. From schools funded by opportunities they were never allowed to have. Privilege didn't disappear, it just changed shape. But even with all of that, hate is still not their nature. Because hate is heavy. Hate is poison. Hate is a chain that locks you down, not them. And Black Americans have carried enough chains for 1,000 lifetimes. They don't need to wake up angry at white people. They don't need to carry rage in their chest like it's part of their identity. Because it's not. It never was. Their fight has always been against systems, not people. Against injustice, not skin color. Against policies, not neighbors. And the truth is, when we hold our heads high, when we refuse to let hate define us, when we stay rooted in strength, dignity, and clarity, we become unstoppable. Black Americans are the descendants of survivors, of visionaries, of people who endured the darkest chapters of this nation and still found ways to love, build, create, and hope. So no, hate is not who they are. Hate is not their legacy. Hate is not their culture. They rise because their ancestors rose. They fight systems, not people. And they walk forward without hate. Because their power has always been bigger than that. Stand tall. Stay focused. Stay powerful. Black Americans survive.
Focus on the focus. Okay. I love you. And I love you too. All right. Yeah, we ain't got time for that shit, man. That shit, our shit already heavy, you know. We carried a lot of weight, man, already. So I don't know what to tell them. Don't know what to tell them. All right, Henry, what it do, loved one? Say greetings and blessings to all, Brother Bub. Salute to you, soldier. Right back to you, man. Salute right back. All right, we need more warriors like ourselves, soldiers also, you know. Good to see you up in here. Chris say, man, you're going to see more of these types of marches in the city near you. No doubt. No doubt. But see, the Patriot Front, this is, I think, maybe the second, maybe third march they've done in a matter of a couple of months. If anyone can recall, they came from they had white supremacists coming out of Canada and other places, I would imagine, you know, from around the world. They marched here in the United States. If I'm correct, that was also, I think that was also DC or Maryland when they had that march about a month or a couple of months ago. I'm saying that to say, man, they're here. They're here, you know, they're here. And couple that fact with the authorities. They're here and they're itching. You know what I mean? So I just think it would behoove us to always be mindful of our surroundings. You know, when we were talking to sisters the other day about being more careful when they're out and about, we can also say this to our brothers. You know what I mean? Let our brothers know also, hey, man, keep your head on a swivel. Understand your environment, your surroundings. Stop taking shit for granted. We just had a situation, and I think I spoke about this recently, where the young brother this past 4th of July weekend went on a boat in Mississippi with 3 white boys. They got back to dry land. The brother didn't. When they found his body, he was submerged. He was in the water. He had drowned. He was dead. And don't nobody know nothing, you know? Now, this is the second time this has happened. Some months back, a sister in her 40s got with these football moms, all white women, had a sleepover, all right? Next morning, she was in the backyard dead. None of them knew what happened. This is the new tactic now. You know, this is the new tactic. Probably. Bunch of whites get together. Hey, what about some give up? We all in agreement? We all in agreement. Kill them. You know, unalive them. And then be like, I don't know nothing. You know, hey, I went to sleep. I don't know nothing. And no one is held accountable. But the young brother from the other day, man, that's some sad shit, you know. Yeah, mothers, man, need to be more mindful of what's going on, especially when it comes to our children or their children. We have to protect them more now. You know, fathers also, not just the children you want to protect more, but the women as well. Because I think there is concerted effort to see, you know, if they can get away with unaliving us. You know, that's what I think. You know, it's already bad where our people travel by themselves down dark interstates and you have the authorities pull up behind you, and the authorities is a Patriot Front member, a member of the KKK, some white supremacist, and never hear from these people no more. You know? And I say it all the time, or I say it enough. Hey, man, if I was any of y'all and I'm driving down a dark road, coming back from visiting family or something, and one of them crackers want to pull me over, hey, man, I'm going to hit my hazards, and y'all follow me to the next truck stop or something, because that ain't finna happen. I guarantee you, you're going to be mad. You can be mad, you know, but I'm recording the whole time, you know. But hey, ain't nowhere in the world I would pull over on a dark interstate, you know, get pulled over, like 2 white sheriffs, 2 white police, troopers or whatever, and not be seen again. Not be seen again. And there's nothing for them to turn off body cams and dash cams. There's nothing. So we just got to be mindful of what coming down the pipes at us, and trust and know it's coming. It's coming. I think too that they're looking for a reason. Again, like so many of them admit in other ethnicities or demographics, they said, damn, where were y'all? Man, normally y'all in the streets and it's on and cracking, getting your heads busted, going to jail for the cause, da 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 da. None of that happened. And they, as a result of that, are upset, I think. Because they got plans they want to enact. They want to put into effect. As long as we're not playing ball with them, that means then they got to go back to the drawing board or go back to the playbook and find something that would entice us, that would that not entice us per se, but that would antagonize us to the point where, okay, we're coming out now, because this is what they want, man. This is what they want. Trump can't wait to enact martial law. And if we react a certain way, guess what? Those who are in the wings, the white supremacists, gonna react. You know what I mean? And this is how that thing starts. But yeah, I think the best thing for us to do is remain quiet and wait for our turn. Because everybody gonna get one. Everybody gets a turn, man. But I think when it comes to us, we know how to fight our battle. We pick our battles. And that's the beauty about what we do. So, in any respect, though, we got to get ready, man. We got to get ready. Yeah, Chris said, man, you're going to see more of these types of marches in a city near you. I can't wait to see if they're bold enough to bring one to California. And if so, what part? If so, if they're coming into California, they're already here. Let's make no mistake about that. All right. California, Colorado, Indiana, and down south, of course. This is where most of them are, If they come to California and want to do that, where would they go? I think they'd be mindful enough not to. Well, then again, there's no telling. They could be forced, coerced, or told, march down that main thoroughfare right there. Ain't no telling, and that would be enough to kick it off. And a lot of us are hotheads. So imagine that, Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, they're here, man. They're here in California waiting for their call. Like I say, everybody's gonna get a turn, So those who are stationed here, who have mounted up them white supremacists, they in the cut. They're in the cut. They're waiting on their turn, their phone call, and they're gonna march. Again, let's just hope we're prepared for whatever that brings, Yeah, real spit. Dana said, man, I'm a history teacher, big homie. I can definitely use this. Good looking out. Hey, all right. We have an educator. Appreciate that. My mom was an educator, My mom was an educator, her whole life, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good look. It's a good look. Anything we can do to help the sisters to, educate the children, we should be more than willing to do that. And that picture, that's a great conversation. That's a great conversation. And you're a history teacher. Oh, my. I'd love to have been in your class. I like a little history, and I like writing. So, yeah. Chris said, man, if you notice, white people were afraid of black people in the 80s and 90s, not anymore. Oh, yeah. I think, you know what I think, Chris? I'm serious, and I've been checking this out lately. White people are upset that we're no longer docile, or just going for any old thing from them. The Karens and all that, acting up and shit, getting loud, being disrespectful. I remember, not with myself per se, but I could recall people even talking about, oh, that white lady, she crazy. They'll walk off laughing, giggling, or whatever. You know what I mean? Back then, you know, you talk a little shit, guy, whoop your head, but walked off. Nowadays, ain't none of that. A Karen can't say nothing to most sisters and brothers, and that not be, you know, some repercussions behind that. You know what I mean? And they are starting to see this, and I think that's another thing that upsets those who have that innate hate for us. All right, they can't stand that. That now we're standing up and we're speaking out. You know what I mean? Anytime that disrespect shows his ugly face, they can't handle that shit, man. I don't think that I don't think that our people are any longer willing to allow them to just say and do anything anymore. You know, I don't think that whites are not afraid of us. I think that they are. I think that they truly are, you know, and they would know better than us, you know. See, it's like us trying to assume what their issue is, like them trying to assume who we are and what we're about, what we're capable of. They can't do that. You know, they can write as many books as they want, you know, go into psychology and use all this shit, you know, psychiatry, psychology, whatever. That shit don't really answer or deal with what we're talking about. We're working from the core of the spirit. You know what I mean? Yeah, we use this and sometimes not wisely, but I think we have an instinctive life force or source that kind of propels us, you know, and sometimes we can't even speak on, you know, but I think there's a certain fear that exists in them and has existed in them for a very, 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 very long time, you know, and they always use force and violence to cover up, to mask that fear. That's what I think, bro. You know. Smoke, what it do, loved one? You say, when I get a chance, I would tell you when I purchase some property with the post office money order by endorsement. All right, waiting to hear that. That's a bit of information. I'll be waiting to hear that. Yeah. Peace, prosperity to you. Where you been? Hopefully everything is everything, brother. You know, you're still in this fight. Here you are. I take it that you are, man. So send a shout out to you and your fam, man. May everything be everything, bro. All right, Dana said, man, it's a little romanticized because we do fight each people or each other. We are just not all about war like them. Yeah, but you know, if you I get what you mean in terms of romanticizing how we are as people, But in a lot of respects, you have to agree. So when we, you know what, man, the coldest part about when we fight, guess who we fighting? You know, in the realest sense, we do more, you know, harm to each other than we do anyone else. You know, our anger is always directed at us. You know, it is not normally directed at those who, if you go to the core of any issue, especially in this country, you know, they are at their fingerprint is on that, right? We don't address that like that. Most of the time, our anger, when we're expressing it, is being done to our own. You know, so it's very rare that we would go out and, you know, shoot up whole schools or, you know, blow up some shit. You know what I mean? We don't do that, you know. And in fact, there's one thing that can be said about us that I think is could be our Achilles heel is that we're too forgiving sometimes. You know, we tend to forgive too readily, too easy. You know, as much as forget. And I think, you know, in a lot of respects, that's bad. That's bad, you know. It's bad because I think people see that as a weakness. You know, a lot of, you know, other ethnicities, demographics, I think they see it as a weakness. You know, I think they also know that there's something there about us. We're an enigma in a lot of ways. You know, people swear they know us. They swear they get us. They understand, comprehend. But when we do shit not according to their expectations, they're scratching their heads like, what the fuck? You know, where'd that come from? You know, but people tend to think that because we're not as volatile to other races, you know what I mean, as we are to ourselves, they tend to think that, you know, they take that for weakness, I think sometimes, you know, I just think that, you know, but yeah, I get your point nonetheless. You said it's a little romanticized because we do fight each other, you know, we are just not all about war like them. Yeah, true that. Daily Inspiration said me, we already most hated. Yeah. And we know this. And yeah, we know this, and then we got some that want to turn a blind eye to it. You know what I mean? We got these two schools of thought. One is we know you motherfuckers hate us. Have y'all don't know why. Some of us don't know why. You know what I mean? That's true. We first thing we say, well, it's the color of our skin. They was taught that shit. That ain't something that's natural. It's deeper than that. You know, I think in terms of whites hating us, it's something else there other than our melanin. You know, it's a lot. You know what I mean? You know, it's a lot to discuss and deal with. But a lot of them hate us, man. You know, just for that reason. You know, and then the fact of the matter is, well, all right, let me rephrase that because I don't want to say the wrong thing. We know we're the most hated, man. That's not a mystery, right? We know this shit, man. A lot of us don't really understand why, and a lot of them don't really get why other than what they've been told. A lot of them not going to go out, you know, strike out on their own and try to figure out why they have a disdain or hate, disrespect for us. They won't. They'll stick to whatever the tradition or the education or what they learned in the household. They'll stick with that rather than go out on a limb and try to figure out, okay, why does my community or my family hate black people? And then a lot of us, we won't take the time either to try to figure out, okay, why the fuck you hate us, man? You know, you don't have to get one of them deep dive conversations with people. We won't do that. So we like, I don't give a fuck. You know, excuse my language, I'm just saying. That's our attitude, you know. So what? You know, that ain't nothing new to us. You know, so it precludes us or it prevents us from diving deep and understanding to some degree the psychology of them people. Because like I said, man, it got to be greater than, it's way bigger than our melanin. It's more to it than that, you know. Again, most of them don't know why they do it. And we sure as hell don't really know why they do it. We just know they've been taught to do it, you know, where it came from, where it originally came from, and why is what, you know, evades everybody in terms of this hatred for us. So we're used to being hated. We're used to being hated so much so that shit rubs off on us. We tend to hate ourselves sometimes as a result of all this hate coming at us from everywhere. We tend to start thinking and believing that we are inferior, that we're ugly, that we're weak, we're lazy, you know, that we're not worth being loved or respected, you know. And so we tend to act that shit out, you know. We even tend to do it, and then we don't know why the hell we doing it, other than the fact that, you know, okay, we've been indoctrinated, brainwashed to some degree, some large degree, where, you know, it's still hard to explain or express. You know, I don't know. Dana said that's the first part. Well, that's the fishy part. How nobody know anything. Yeah, and we were talking about those two deaths. And again, this is just recent. Them three white boys, they walked away. You know, no charges, nothing. Had the audacity to take his phone to his mom and dad. So back to that point, I just say as a caution, as a warning to our sisters and our brothers who have children, who tend to think that it's okay to have all white friends and, you know, hang out with whites and school with them and all this shit, I think there's a danger in that. I think there's a danger in that because I also think that that community is on some crazy work, man. Some wicked, crazy work. That's what I think. I think that a lot of them toy with the fact of unaliving one of us, just to say they done it and to see if they can get away with it. So I don't know. I would ask everybody just be mindful, be mindful. Our daughters interacting with these people. And that's some of the saddest shit, because can you imagine one of our daughters, our queens, interacting with one of these people and then being mistreated whenever, one day, one night, whatever. I can't imagine that. And I don't want to say it, but I'm pretty sure some sisters have been through that, and yet remained, no different from a normal Black relationship. They go through it. I don't know, man. They just get stuck in these situations. But I think that's more dangerous, for women, more dangerous. I don't know. Henry Cedello said, man, condolences to the young man's family and friends. Real spit, man. Well, his friends were all white guys. So I'm looking at photographs of them chilling on the 4th of July. Bunch of white guys. Only Black dude there. For the 40-year-old mother who went and had a sleepover with the football moms, 6 white women. All white. She was the only sister there. Found her dead in the backyard. There's something to this stuff, man, and we need to be mindful of that. That's all I'm suggesting. And an ounce of caution beat a pound of cure any day. All right, M13, what it do, loved one? Good to see you up in here. Welcome back. We say peace, fam. Just getting home. Sound like we gotta be safe out there, no doubt. Or we gotta be safe out here, no doubt. And because we're Black, we know it comes with the territory. I tend to think a lot, especially now brothers, when it comes to them pigs, police pulling over brothers understanding how, seeing it for what I really see it for now. Brothers be doing some real jerky move that brothers be tripping. Brother get the grabbing on, they pulling up their pants and shit, hand under their shirt. And I'm like, bro, they looking for a reason. And they not pulling the taser first. I'm saying that to say, man, a lot of our brothers don't take this shit serious enough, taking it for granted. And your conversation with them when they pull you over, everything is bro and ninja. Oh, ninja. Oh, bro. Like you can't even articulate what you need to say, or you can't understand that you should very well articulate what needs to be said in a way or in a language that they understand to try to, de-escalate some shit. Because I think just the way we talk or our brothers talk to them pisses them off. It angers them. So there's that de-escalation on their behalf out the window. It's gone out the window. I think brothers take it for granted, especially our younger brothers. They take for granted when they get pulled over by the police that it's all good. Ninja this, ninja that. Oh, bro. No. Hold on. Yeah, you've been racially profiled, one. So again, you're not being mindful of your environment, man, and that's a problem, man, that could cause some of our brothers their lives, you know. So I watch those type of videos, that content as well, and I watch for a lot of reasons, you know, to learn what not to do, you know, as well as what to do, you know, to save myself, you know. Try to know, you know, certain phrases of law, you know, the Constitution, to get them to pause, you know. But you know, it's like every time I see these, you know, this content with our young brothers, they're just ignorant of shit, and sometimes that shit, like, you know, we talking about this other night. A lot of authority figures don't care nothing about the Constitution. That oath to the Constitution over the police station, you know, the ordinances and, you know, city law, that shit don't mean nothing to them, man, to tell you the truth. It really don't. However, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have it as part of our arsenal. You know what I mean? Our artillery. You know, first thing they do is stop you. Okay, what'd you put me over for? You know what I mean? You know, all this step out of the car shit and all this shit they do. A lot of brothers don't understand, man, their ways of dealing with that. It's so much, you know, we can learn if we just focus, pay attention. But there's a whole lot, man, that our brothers do that jeopardizes their lives, man, and they don't see that shit. You know, I'm on the outside looking in, you know, and I'm like, fuck, man. You dodged one that night, boy. And it's nighttime and you acting a damn fool. And, you know, some brothers don't dodge them, you know. Some brothers get brutalized, you know, get jacked up. Some brothers get shot, you know. So we just got to be mindful of this shit. Not, again, let's go for our sisters and our brothers, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, you know. Smoke said, man, we need to get some straightening with these sundown towns. Huh. I don't know. I'm type of brother, man. Find a vacancy, a house. So let's move into that mug, you know. Yeah. Yeah, antagonizing. Yeah. You know. Huh. It's more thought to that, but you know, just best we don't say nothing. M13 said, man, more safer. Yeah, we have to be, man. Got to be more safer out here. Smoke said, man, we should buy up property in them sundown towns. That was my sentiment exactly. And plus some, you know what I mean? Buy some property and then, you know, hey, go to work. Yeah. Yeah, we make it a real sundown town, for real, for real. Dana said, low speed chase going down. Yeah. Smoke said, man, if we can get our felons on a do not detain list, then they can bear arms automatically. Yeah, and that part of, and I know what you're getting at, and you know, I've know that's some I've been doing a little research on that, and yeah, a lot of that shit ain't cut out to be everything we've been told, or we think it is. For instance, a lot of courts don't even respect that shit, man. So again, I'm talking about how they really apply the law and the Constitution to us. We were having this discussion, Smoke. You weren't here yesterday, where we were saying, man, here's the truth of the matter, man. None of this shit really pertains to us. It only seems as though it's serving us until they find a way to extract, get it, just take it out of any, in any conversation, or take it out of the laws that we would tend to use, or we would try to use to defend ourselves and say, hey, we have the right to do this. They're trying to figure all that out so that they don't have to adhere to protecting our rights. You know what I mean? Especially constitutionally. But in spite of all that, regardless of all that, they still don't. And that's so evident. That should be evident to each and every one of us. Anytime a so-called civil servant or an officer of the law pull it's always confrontation. And for the most part, it's always them initiating it. So even with their de-escalating schooling and training and all that, nothing's changed. Even with the Constitution in place, certain inalienable rights are in place. Nothing's changed because some of us think that shit don't apply to us. And again, first time they figure out a way to try to deport our black asses, they will. They will. I heard Speaker Johnson today talking about it up in Congress about Trump trying to find a way to, I think it's the 22nd Amendment, to find a way to get reelected for a third term. And he was mentioning the process. You got to go through Congress, and then somebody mentioned, I think, the other amendment that protects us, our birthrights, it's being a part of the country. I forget what amendment it is right now, but he said, oh yeah, that's also a process. And you need X amount of senators, congressmen to vote for this. And right now we don't have that number. His response told me they've been thinking about this, talking about that. He said, right now we don't have those numbers. So that's a discussion they're having, And again, all this is not just because they want to be some assholes. All this is because they know something we don't. And they think it behooves them to get rid of us as soon as possible, sooner rather than later. If they wait too long, they're going to be asked out. That's what I think. But hey, it's just my thought. Just my thoughts on it. All right, Rakufu, what it do, loved one? Recalcitrance. Oh, I know that one. I know that one well. I promise you. That was used on me back in the day in camp. One of the counselors used that word on me back in the day, man. Recalcitrance. All right. Anyway, Rakufu said peace and blessings to the RGC. And a word for the day, or word of the day, is recalcitrance. Recalcitrance. All right. Anyway, meaning of stubborn resistance to authority, dominance, or control, an obstinate refusal to submit to a paradigm or governing force. An obstinate refusal. Yeah, stubborn. Okay. Yeah, I grew up with that one, bro. And miscreant and a few others, Appreciate you. What it do, though, Ra? Good to see you up in here, man. Peace and blessings right back to you, man. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam as well. Daily Inspiration say, man, they left California with other races and built blocks all over the world. Yeah. Chris goes on to say, Bub, in the 1990s, white people used to cross the street when they saw you coming. Not anymore. I think, though, again, and this is my observation, Chris, I don't think that it's a lack of fear anymore. I think that most whites, when you see them walking up somebody's street or anybody's street, there are just a multitude of cameras. I think in that way they find some solace. They find, not necessarily comfort, but some security in that respect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, there weren't cameras nowhere, basically. You know what I'm saying? After, 9/11, another play out there, playbook, boom. Cameras just didn't spring up all over these United States. They went up all over the world. I mean, literally all over the world, there are cameras. So nowadays, man, a person can't even get away with a crime because of cameras. And there's another thing we our youth should be mindful of. Hey, man, you're not going to get far. You know what I mean? You're not going to get far. Cameras. I think that, again, the fear you might be speaking of and that I'm speaking of may be two different things, okay? I think though that the fear, I don't think there are some who have a physical fear of us. All right. But then there are others who have a spiritual fear, a fear of, they don't understand us. They don't get us, you know? And for a lot of them throughout history, that's where that fear came from to begin with. Not being able to understand us, you know, comprehend us, to put their finger on us, you know? So I think the fear you're talking about, that go for some, but not for all. You know, it goes commercially. You got some that just fear us physically, but they think they can get you mentally. They got you, you know. Then you got those who won't fear us physically, you know, but they have a fear intellectually, you know, spiritually of black people. You know, that's what I think, bro. You know, so I'm not down with what you say, because yeah, back then that used to occur. In fact, it still may, you know, but cameras, I think it is something that's given them some solace, a sense of security somewhat. Cameras on every store have them. Every home has a Ring. Cameras are everywhere. So it might be, you won't get far, you know what I mean? You commit a crime in front of a Tesla, you're being documented and recorded. You get away with nothing anymore. So that could be part of it. I'm just saying, you know. But yeah, again, it go both ways. I do agree with you still, but you know, there's that fact. You should factor that in. Rakufu said the indigenous populations demonstrated a persistent recalcitrance against the imposition of Eurocentric historical frameworks. All right. That man is a scholar, y'all. Wordsmith. Etymology. That's your get down, bro. All right. M13 say I agree, Smoke. I agree, Smoke. And on 10. I didn't catch that 13. I agree, Smoke, and maybe join 10. I don't know. You're going to say M13, man, they believe black should be subservient to massa. Say so when, they believe black should be subservient to master. Say so. Subservient to say so. Gotcha, right. When we've been off the plantation, that ain't working. Yeah, but yeah, no. Again, I think that's one of those gray areas, man, you know, because I still that there are a lot of us who are still that, you know, to the core. They are that subservient, you know, submissive to them. I think so, you know. I think so, you know. Smoke say, man, they hate us because of our empathy and we have souls. That part, right? They hate us. They hate for us. Their hate for us, is to control everything and have us own nothing. They want us as chattel. They eat our people like chicken. Yeah, I delved in a little bit of that today, man. I was like, oh, man, come on, man. Come on, dog. Yeah, shit. Alonzo said they eat our people, man. They think it gives them power. Yeah. So, yeah, Trip. Damn, that's crazy you mentioned that. I was a young brother, man. This young brother, I think his name is Antonio Brown or something. He has a channel. Very intelligent young brother, man. I love it. I watch him. I subscribe, follow him. And he did some content on that movie Get Out, right? And it made me say this. Okay, yes, I saw this yesterday. I said, okay, I got to go watch that again, because a lot of that movie actually speaks to a lot of what they think in terms of our properties, you know, biologically speaking, or spiritually, you know what I mean? And I was like, damn, okay, I missed that part, you know, and he you know, pointing out certain things. I'm like, oh, God, I missed that. I think I'm such a movie buff, man. I don't know shit, man. I missed that whole thing. So I said, I got to go watch it again. But his point was what similar to what the point you guys are making about not just imbibing or drinking our blood or but consuming us or taking our organs, whatever the case may be. They do it because there's something, again, man, back to that statement. There's something they know about us that we don't. Just saying. Just saying. When we think about how many abductions that take place just in the United States, we ain't gonna talk about around the world, but the United States got the highest number of abductions, 400,000 a year, many of whom are which are black. All right. I tend to think that there's something to that. And then damn sex trade. It ain't that. I'm pretty sure. Hey, it ain't that. It's some crazy work, some wicked crazy work going on, that would have to do with imbibing the blood of our people, consuming, eating the flesh of our people, using their organs, even experiment to the point where they're trying to transmit or transmute they're trying to replace one brain with another. You know what I mean? Our eyeballs and shit. Yeah, all kind of shit going on, man. All kind of things are going on. All kind of shit is happening, man. And we, just be 100. We aren't the wiser, we could speculate, and I'm I'm gonna tell you, I let my mind go sometime, and the shit I come up with be like, oh shit, yeah, they could possibly do this shit, So I don't know, man. Again, I was watching some shit today, out of the Delectable Cookbook. It was something, I forgot the name of the book. The Delectable Negro. It was some shit. Anyway, I stopped watching that shit. From that to where they hanging our babies up, it's alligator bait. I'm like, oh man, this is some foul shit, Anyway. Yeah, they think it gives them power, Alonzo. It's a real satanic shit, man, no doubt. Rakufu said, man, we black Americans in their eyes are cattle on a big farm. Hey. Called America. All right, DYO, DOG, all right. They hate is put in them by their God. It says so in their Bible. All right, there you go. And that go for them other people, them ish people also. I don't know. It's one of them. Is it the Torah or the Talmud? One of them books say some real evil stuff, man, about other people, that they're allowed to do. So I'm just saying, man, yeah, we in a cold way. A whole lot going on, no doubt. Alonzo say facts. You say facts, man. Rakufu said, man, wherever they need a heart, lung, etc., they just kill us in a car accident and remove what they need. I'm gonna give you one better. Think about it. Whenever they need any of these organs that we have, and they say our organs are the best, something about our blood, our DNA, anyway, they just abduct us. 400,000 in this country, most of them black. Just abduct them. Abduct a child, a teenager. Come on, man. You getting a fresh organ. Henry said, man, they got lawyers, I heard. And Big Cute said, out of guilt, one of them will talk when their conscience gets on them. Their conscience, yeah. Not their conscience, but yeah. He explained if they were psychopath, then they wouldn't have empathy and remorse. Yeah, one of them gonna give them up. That's coming. That's coming. The OG said they need us. They need us. We don't need them, really. And this is something we were pushing, talking about last week. We've been saying this quite often now, and on this channel at least, we know for a fact they need us way more than we'll ever need them. They just got us thinking we need them. You know, they got us in a position where, yeah, we're dependent on them for our water, man, and our food. And in a respect, a certain way, that is a certain need, right, that they control, but it don't have to be. Push come to shove, that would end immediately. We wouldn't look to them for as a water source. If, you know, we on our game, you know, we wouldn't look to them as a food source because we're trying to provide those things ourselves. Again, you know, we had this discussion a week or so ago, and I was saying that they got us thinking that the only food we can buy is from a grocery market, where it's GMO, where, you know, it's human, it's man-made. It's a product made by man, not grown, you know what I mean? They got us thinking we can't grow in our window sills, in our backyards, our front yards, you know what I mean? Everything that we got or we need to get, we have to get it from them. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. The furthest thing from the truth, man. So in that respect, I say, hey, I agree, no doubt, that they need us more than we need them. I ain't gonna lie about that. All right, Fat Rat, what it do, loved one? Say peace to you and the RGC, big bro. Right back to you, homie. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam, bro. As well as to the Playboy community. May everything be everything, bro. Good to see you up in here, man. M13 say, come on, man. Got to make it home. Come on. Got to make it home. We got to, y'all. You know, I used to have a saying from when I was on the streets, in prison, and even now, I got to get home the same way I left, you know. I left home one time. I didn't come back home for a very, very long time. But as I was in that cell, I would always think, okay, no matter what happened, a lot of riots and shit, you know, shoe terms, you know what I mean, the whole time and shit. I would still tell myself that, though. Make it back to the cell, same way I left. You know what I mean? I've been very fortunate, you know. Very fortunate. Been in a whole bunch of stuff. Never been booked. You know, if I thought you turned, hey, but, you know, make it back the same way I left. And that should be another thing that we should tell ourselves anytime we leave out that front door, because we don't know, you know what I mean? And so when you leave out of that front door, you leave out of there with the presence of mind that you're going out into the world where there's all kind of dangers, you know what I mean? There's all kind of stuff out there that would try to prevent any of us from making it back home, you know, where we belong with our loved ones. So just be mindful of that, man. Real shit. M13 say, man, that's a fact, bub. I got called the constitutionalist by a pig when he knew I a little law and civic. All right. When he understood that you had that shit down pat, they back up. You get some hard asses every now and then. And I have to say, knock on wood, old habit, y'all. Don't really believe it. I haven't been molested, harassed, or anything by no pigs. You know what I mean? And I'm cool with that. I tell my wife all the time, and you know, I had to stop saying this shit because I was inviting trouble. You know what I mean? Words, man, have power. I can't wait to me. I wish they would. You know. I thought about, I say, man, you tripping. So I stopped doing that shit. You know what I mean? And I think it's for the best. You know, because I find that for me, if there's any way to avoid a situation that could end me or have me somewhere I don't want to be, then yeah, by all means, I want to avoid that. I want to avoid that, especially if I ain't making the call and decision that, okay, it ends now, right here. You know what I mean? So it would be, you know, I understood really, in really since then, hey, man, careful what you ask for, you know? You may get it, but not like how you asked for it, you know? I use that brothers in the joint. And oh, I can't wait for one of them to mess with me when them cops beat me up. I'ma sue them. I wish they would. And boom. Cell get bum rushed, shoulder get tore out of socket, all your ligaments messed up, man, could barely move your arm anymore. Yeah, they got to check. But this how they are now. They can't do anything. Messed your eye up, can't see out your eye no more. You got to check though. Nah. Hey man, no. No. Yeah, be careful what we ask for. But yeah, the same way to leave home, man, I want to return, no doubt. A real sister, what it do, family? She says, shalom, family. Just stop by. Looks like right on time. Finally, I can appreciate, bro. Raku food, 2 words for the day as well as the subject. It's in my spirit to share Leviticus 26. Right? And did I read that right? Yeah. Okay. And 13 said, man, he ain't gonna give no fucks about that Constitution or my rights. I had to get the hell out of there and take the ticket to court another day. Laugh my ass off. Yeah. What they say, man, live to fight another day. A good run is better than a bad loss any day. I understand the phrasing of that. I used to didn't get that a long time ago. In other words, you pick your battles wisely. Choose your battles, man. Choose your battles wisely. And that might be me one day. Yo, bum ass cop talking some shit, and some tell me you're not finna win this one, but it might end bad. Okay, officer, give me the ticket. Let me go about my business. You know what I mean? Fuck that confrontational shit. Sometime it may come to that. Be real, man. Here we say, yeah, because them pigs be knowing that a lot of us don't be knowing the law. And if you riding dirty, you already start acting suspicious. And that's how they train them. They train them to look at facial expressions, body movements. I'm a sweater. I get stopped, I start sweating. They gonna swear I got something, Like, hey, man. Yeah, man. Facts. Them certain things said facts. Great chapter. Yeah, no doubt, bro. No doubt, everybody. All right, peace to a real sister, man. I hope all is well with you and yours. And likewise, good to see you up in here again, a real sister. All right. And 13 said, man, MFs, man, will bend your arm instead of putting on cuffs. Then say, don't resist. Like, MF, you trying to break my arm. Cuff me already, fool. Real spit. Stop resisting. What the hell you day, man? You damn. I saw one today. Cop tased a brother, man, for nothing. And he keep tasing, but he didn't have the one that shoot into your body. He had the taser you put on you. And So he tasing the brother, talking about stop moving. Stop. We're like, what? I got electricity running through my body, and you telling me to stop moving. Every time you touch that motherfucker, I'm going to jump. Got sued, though. He got sued, and I think he lost his job, but still, that's the type of torture they into. Cold thing, man. Farad said, man, Farad says, let that enemy stay concentrated in his designated areas. Some of them are simply trying to practice separation. I agree with them. We just need to establish our sun up towns and rip A on it. Okay. I get that too. Now I'm gonna say peace, Fat Rat. All right, here we go. Okay, hope you brothers are well. All right. Real sister, it looks like the rest of my comment didn't appear. No, it didn't. I was waiting for it. Leviticus 26. It didn't show up. I'm saying, okay, maybe sometime when Rakuf and them, they have something to say. I gotta scroll down and catch it. So I'm thinking I'll catch up to it, Okay, here you go, real sister. As long as we keep refusing to keep Yah's laws, commandment, and statutes, we will be punished. Please read Leviticus, I think saying Leviticus 26 for some understanding on our current condition. Praise Yah. All right, got you. Hear loud and clear. M13 said, man, sure did show all that and Get Out, an underrated movie showing the tactics the paleface used. Yeah, that's cold flick. I think I'm gonna watch it. All right. You're going to say M13, they got overt or over aggressive and also slick, not so aggressive tactics, like how they tried to hypnotize homie. That's to Get Down, right? That's to Get Down. All right. Hey, yeah, Fat Rat, appreciate that. It's Tamo. Yeah. And you know what's funny? I BS y'all not, man. So we were trying to order one in the joint. We couldn't get the book. Bullshit you not. Like, how the hell we can't get that book? You know? Something about the rabbi. It was something they told us. We had to get clearance from a rabbi or some shit they told us, man. Like, hell no, nah, man. We gonna 602. We 602 shit. And that shit must have floated in Sacramento for about at least 7-8 months. And hey, we knew the fix was in. We knew it was in. All right, Michael Sells. Good to see you again, Michael Sells. Say, Big Bub, how my brother be, man? I be all right, bro. Yeah. I do well, man. You know, you say, I heard the Children Protection Services is where perverts get children to mistreat and sexually abuse. That's also a real one. Adoptions and shit like this. A whole lot of wicked work going on, man. A whole lot, man. And then, yeah, a lot of these children are taken from the families. And, you know, I hate to think what happens to a child if that child comes from a one-parent house. That parent ends up in prison or jail or whatever, you know, and the family don't go and get this child. Children's Services will go get that child, and before you know it, that child is placed in someone's home, and there's no telling in terms of the horrors that can actually be going down in that location, that residence, you know. And I can say this from personal knowledge that shit is some wicked shit that happens, man. You know, it's a lot of wicked shit going on, man. And again, with our children. Hey, Fat Rat, is that a quote? The Tamoa said, Jesus is in hell burning in excrement. Oh, shit. That's harsh. I would not say anything like that. Damn. Damn. Damn, Fat Rat, I just ran into that. No lie. Say, bud, we survived sundown regulators in Signal Hill, Long Beach, Lenox, over there near Hart Thunder, Lenox area, no doubt, 77, etc., etc. No doubt. No doubt. Same Get Down, just different location, you know? Wow. Raymond Cole said, Bub, I think it's in accordance with Dr. Francis Welshing's theory. It's our ability to genetically annihilate them. Yeah, that's another thing. And a deep psychological insecurity of the black man's penis. Yeah, she did talk about that, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And this is why they like big guns, you know. For real, for real. Fat Rat say the controversy is that they manufactured the tumult on the merits of their own scholars. They declared it as superior to the Torah. Then came Adolf. Absolutely, a quote in the Talmud. That is crazy work, bro. CEO Gatewood. Yo, what's the deal, Big Bo? What is it? CEO Gatewood, good to see you up in there. Welcome to the Get Down, man. You already know, Under the Groove Podcast, all right? Like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe. Would appreciate that. You're on the late freight, but better late than never. You know, so what's good with you? Glad to see you up in here, man. Yeah, shouts out to CEO, man. Gatewood. Good to have him up in here hanging out with us. Raymond Cole said, man, remember they essayed black male slaves in front of the communities. That's right. And they castrated them too. They constantly ridiculed them Two, about their lower apparatus, no doubt. You know, not only did the so-called master do a lot of atrocious and just, you know, sadistic shit to our brothers, the women did too. The lady of the house did as well. They were just as foul. They were just as foul, man. Had a lot of messed up ways about them, man. I had an idea to run one more clip before we called it a night. And lost track of that thizzle. Damn, how did that happen, man? No, I ain't gonna do that. We ain't gotta do all that. I'm gonna leave it till tomorrow. Hold on. Let me drop that right quick. Because we were just talking about this. Right quick, y'all. Let's see how much we can get of this in there.
Memory is a form of resistance.
Hold on.
There comes a moment when a people are taught to forget their past, someone else gets to decide their future. Memory is a form of resistance. There comes a moment when knowing the truth isn't enough. That's when a people must decide, will they act or remain controlled?
Hello.
Every oppressed people reaches a breaking point. When patience runs out, determination takes its place. If the truth makes you uncomfortable, good. That means it's doing its job. Every generation is faced with a choice. Submit to injustice or draw a line and defend its future. I don't negotiate my dignity. I don't apologize for my humanity. A people who respect themselves demand respect. Once a people understand what's been done to them, there's no going back to sleep. Awakening changes everything.
We're waking up now.
Power doesn't listen to requests. Power responds to pressure. And a united people apply pressure. No one respects a people who refuse to defend themselves. Right. Self-respect begins the moment you draw a line and refuse to be pushed back. You don't free a people by changing their chains. You free them by changing their thinking. That's where real revolution begins. Power never concedes without pressure. And when a people apply pressure together, history moves. You don't awaken a people with comfort. You awaken them with truth. And truth always comes with resistance. You will never rise higher than the women you stand on. When the black woman rises, the whole nation rises with her. Right. We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being by any means necessary. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy. You don't have a revolution in which you beg the system of exploitation to integrate you into it. Man, they don't hate you because you're violent. They hate you because you're waking up. The most dangerous black man in America is the one who thinks for himself. A man who knows his enemy and knows himself can never be conquered. Revolution is not a whisper, it's a demand. And when a people decide they've had enough, history has no choice but to move. I believe in human beings and that all human beings should be respected as such, regardless of color. You can't borrow your freedom from the man who profits from your chains. Freedom is taken by those bold enough to claim it. You don't get justice by...
Did you know that African...
All right, I felt that to be appropriate. All right. So there that is, y'all. No. There that is, man. We up in this thing, man. Appreciate everybody's presence tonight. Y'all know how we do. You know, it's about love of self, first and foremost. Malcolm just said it. You know, you got to have that. You know, love for self brings you in the knowledge of self. You know, you get to the point where you love your people, man. As much as you love yourself, get to know them just as you know yourself. You know, take care of yourself. Don't take care of those that you love, man. That's just how that's going to play out. All right. So on that note, love yourself so you can love others. Take care of yourself, brothers and sisters, so that you be in a position to take care of other brothers and sisters who very well may need your assistance and support. One thing for sure, another thing for certain, power is in the people. Don't give power to the people. Power is already in the people, man. Let's exercise that power. We got it. That power is black power, man. All love, no disrespect. You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. Everyone have a great night. One love.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurston writing future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to Theosphere, where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transformed suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than half this hats and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch you the applause for polls. Need your data, tropes, and console, any problem when the wet just wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the cons, plead the markets off the main. Make it honor fans, turn the neck and love the durn. Suffer like a kesha. You were grown to preaching up on side as each alone, but on the shit and untrue seeing vets. Someone the very it's on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the benefit. If wait something for the marker, make the key to pull the club and saw the boards to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break your channel, resi for the he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.